I am President Obama. If you enjoy our story, please like, subscribe, and share our video with your friends. Thank you. Today, we begin sharing the third part of the three-body series, the second episode of the eternal god of death, the Deterrence era. In the previous Crisis era, we mentioned that to test this magic, Dialuna was tasked with removing the head of a burly prisoner from a heavily guarded dungeon. It was a high-risk fragment's first brief contact with Earth. The DAT plan finally passed, but due to limitations in mass, the probe could only use a human brain in a dormant state. That person was Yun Tianmin. After some procedures, Yun Tianmin anonymously purchased a visible star, DX3906, and in the recipient column, solemnly filled in two words, sincerity. The valuable life warning reached the blue space, prompting it to immediately accelerate away from the solar system. Under the surveillance of the two water droplets, humans dispatched the universal gravity to pursue. As the liaison officer sent to the future as part of the latter plan, Chen Xian also entered hibernation. With deep remorse, she, along with human civilization, sailed towards the Deterrence era 2 centuries later. In the 61st year of the Deterrence era, Chen Xian, the only legitimate owner of a star, was awakened from dormancy in the east. Humanity discovered that the DX3906 star had two planets, one of which was a terrestrial planet highly similar to Earth. By relinquishing ownership of these two planets, Chen Xian gained a substantial fortune. At the same time, she befriended a new assistant, Dr. AIAA, who successfully observed the Earth-like planet. Using this wealth, Chen Xian registered a company. Everything seemed like a decent fresh start, but the beautiful life was soon shattered by a conspiracy, Wade's assassination. The ruthless former PIA director, Wade, came to the new era through the East. This savage man, who once killed his subordinates to achieve his goals, now aimed his gun at Chen Xian. After luring Chen Xian to a meeting place with a forged call from AA, Wade used a gun from the Common Era to shoot twice but failed to hit Chen Xian's vital points. As he prepared for a fatal shot, AA arrived with a flying police car, stopping Wade's villainy. The failed assassination made Wade blandly admit that his purpose was to prevent Chen Xian from becoming a direct viewer. A direct viewer is the title for the controller of the Earth's gravity wave emission system, and the current first direct viewer is the former savior, Luo Ji. It was he who comprehended the dark forest theory, balancing between humanity and the three-body world. As long as he pressed the remote control, he could broadcast the coordinates of the three-body star system to the universe, exposing the position of the solar system and inviting annihilation from other civilizations. Now, at the age of 101, Luo Ji could no longer wield the Damocles sword. Humanity had to select a new direct viewer. The most favored candidate was, of course, Chen Xian. After Chen Xian quickly recovered with the help of modern medical technology, she received an invitation for a meeting, and the inviter was Trisolar. Yes, the once powerful and mysterious intelligent microscopic particles from the three-body world were now an intelligent robot with a perfect Eastern female appearance. In a courtyard full of Eastern charm, Trisolaris, dressed in a kimono, entertained Chen Xian with a tea ceremony. During the tea time, Trisolaris, full of deep meaning, hinted to Chen Xian to run for direct viewer. At this moment, not only the Trisolarans wished for Chen Xian to run, but also many others. Shortly after meeting Trisolaris, Chen Xian attended the transfer ceremony of the two planets at the United Nations. After the ceremony, the United Nations and the Solar System fleet unanimously expressed their hope for her to run for direct viewer. At this moment, facing the crowd in the square, a holographic banner image of Chen Xian floated above, like a splendid cloud. The young mother holding a baby approached, handing the baby to Chen Xian, making her resemble a statue of the Virgin Mary. The woman who was once picked up by her mother from a park bench has no other choice. This time, humanity chose Chen Xian, rather than Chen Xian choosing to be the direct viewer. And so, Chen Xian decided to run for the position and effortlessly became the new direct viewer. In the same period within the universe, the universal gravity, with absolute resource superiority and the comprehensive monitoring of the sophons, successfully caught up with the blue space. To execute the final capture mission, all members on the ship were awakened from hibernation. However, soon, mysterious events began to unfold. First, a commander claimed to have seen North Korean officers infiltrating the blue space. Subsequently, damage from micrometeoroid impacts was found inside the hermetically sealed spacecraft. Even more peculiar, Lieutenant Eck, through a strange opening suddenly appearing on the cabin wall, saw the adjacent sleeping female crew member cleanly severed at the half of her thigh, yet she remained unharmed afterward. Additionally, a patrol craft in space also witnessed the entire universal gravity ship being neatly sliced off by a giant knife, revealing a smooth surface. Among the various strange phenomena, the experience of the cosmic observer Guan Yifeng was the most profound. This scientist, who had an infinite passion for the vast universe, surprisingly developed claustrophobia due to abnormal dreams. In a conversation with the ship's doctor about three-dimensional space, their talk was suddenly interrupted by an alarm. Two warships were simultaneously attacked by accompanying water droplets, and this moment coincided with the completion of the direct viewer transition on Earth. This was the crucial moment that the Trisolarans had been waiting for. In the half-century of communication with humans, the Trisolarans had also learned cunning. Seizing the opportunity of the direct viewer transition, they immediately launched a sudden attack using hidden water droplets on the cosmic broadcast transmission towers on Earth. The completion of this strike only took 10 minutes. In the white underground fortress, Chen Xian, who had just received the sword handle from Luo Ji, only now realized her naivety. In these final 10 minutes, her mind rapidly traversed the Earth's evolution over 4.5 billion years. It was as if she saw the eyes of countless creatures, the eyes of numerous great figures, and finally, the smile of the baby in her arms. No! With a roar, Chen Xian threw the remote control away. 10 minutes later, the water droplets destroyed the only remaining 3 hidden wave broadcast transmission towers on Earth. The end of the Dark Forest Deterrence was declared. Simultaneously, through an explosion-triggered light-speed flight, the three-body fleet falsely accused humanity, and Earth was to become a colony of the Trisolarans. In this way, humanity, born in danger, finally embraced the fate of dying in peace. A spectacular scene was about to unfold over the blue planet under Trisolaran colonization, global mass migration. Shortly after the disappearance of Deterrence, the Trisolaran representative, Proton, issued a reservation statement. Except for a small reserved area on Mars, all people around the world were required to migrate to Australia within a year. Initially, no one wanted to leave their homes, as humanity remained immersed in comfortable fantasies. However, 5 days later, the water droplets launched threatening attacks on 3 major cities. They passed directly through the cities, ignoring all buildings, and fires and debris covered the entire urban areas. Over 300,000 people died tragically. From that point, humanity began migrating to Australia. Accompanied by AA, Chen Xian arrived in Australia and settled in a civilian area in the desert, where they befriended the kind-hearted and hospitable elderly caretaker, Ferris. As the migration was nearing completion, Chen Xian went to visit an old friend, Wei, in prison. As the saying goes, horses graze 1,000 miles as horses, and wolves feast 1,000 miles as wolves. This man, sentenced to 30 years in prison for attempted murder, was an undisputed leader even within the prison. He said only one sentence to Chen Xian: "Hurry away." It was a sincere piece of advice because the Trisolarans, who deeply understood the Dark Forest theory, soon revealed their predatory fangs. They began their long-planned plan for the extermination of humanity. As global migration continued, shortages of food and resources led to riots on a significant scale. However, in this situation, the Trisolarans recruited human security forces still managed to destroy all power facilities and modern factories. In an emergency meeting at the United Nations, it was announced that similar resource constraints would continue for 3 months until the Trisolaran establishment arrived. This is like a doomsday verdict of a death row battle, as it signifies that out of 4.2 billion Earth inhabitants, only 30 to 50 million will survive. Each person becomes a source of food in the eyes of their companions, and only those who act like beasts, fiercely devouring others, can avoid being consumed. Faced with this cruel reality of cannibalism, Chen Xian in the crowd suddenly felt everything go black before him. He had gone blind. In his ears, the entire Australia seemed like the purgatory of death row inmates, where almost no one could escape the fate of a large-scale slaughter. However, at this moment, the last glimmer of human civilization ignited slowly on the 2 warships in space. During the handover of the sword, the water droplets simultaneously struck all gravity wave launchers, including the universal gravity. As a new type of warship, universal gravity itself was a massive gravity wave launcher, making it the inevitable target of the water droplets' attack. However, to everyone's surprise, the 2 water droplets deviated from their trajectory and passed by the 2 warships. Through a visible light recording and playback of the moment of handover, the crew of Universal Gravity witnessed a miracle. The harvest ship from the blue space, appearing out of nowhere, descended beside the dull water droplets and harvested it. They had triumphed over the water droplets. The shocked crew of Universal Gravity rushed to the gravity wave emission control room. However, when the first anti-swordbearer to react, the infiltrator Hunter, arrived, the room had already been occupied. The newcomer was none other than Blue Space's Major Rao Ichu, previously claimed to have appeared on the ship. To defend the lifelong mission of destroying the launchers, Hunter decisively opened fire. But at this moment, even the arriving crew of Universal Gravity witnessed a stunning scene. Hunter subtly tore off his outer garment, and immediately his body stiffened. Eyes rolled back, and accompanied by the blood he spat out was a strange tubular object, Hunter's heart. At that moment, a group of fully armed Blue Space crew members descended, announcing the complete occupation of Universal Gravity. In the spherical hall of the Blue Space, all members of the 2 spacecraft gathered together, forming a common new world, the Starfleet Humans. As a legendary figure, the captain of the Blue Space, Yu Yen, showed everyone the scene of the Lightspeed three-body fleet advancing towards Earth. People then learned of everything that happened on Earth. As the guardians of the last gravity wave launcher, Starfleet Humans faced a choice. Finally, after 315 years since Yi Wenjie made the first nomination, on a drifting spaceship with no home in space, a group of Earth's children through a nationwide referendum ultimately passed judgment on their mother. With dozens of hands pressing the button simultaneously, the strings of the gravity wave launcher created ripples in space, transmitting the death sentence to the entire universe at the speed of light. Thanks to the feat that occurred on universal gravity, Earth once again temporarily escaped from the crisis of doomsday. In the words of Sapan, the current solar system no longer needs to worry about becoming a death zone like the three-body interstellar. At this point, the turmoil on Earth has temporarily subsided, but the exploratory journey on the Starfleet has just begun. In order to find answers to all the previous mysterious phenomena, 3 representatives of the Starfleet Humans are about to enter 4-dimensional space. Under the leadership of Captain Chu Yen, linguist Mo Vawachi, and universe observer Guan Yifan enter 4-dimensional space together through the invisible spherical surface on the spatial cannon. After their brains adapted to the high-dimensional spatial sense with infinite details, they saw that milliseconds in 3-dimensional space would be infinitely repeated here, as if countless mirrors were copied. There was an indescribable sense of sentient beings here, bottomless within a square inch. It was a world full of infinite details, where they could see the crew's internal organs, blood, and even the cellular structures inside without any obstruction. At the same time, every cable and integrated circuit on the spaceship were exposed. In 4-dimensional space, all 3-dimensional objects were just unfolded sheets of paper, defenseless. The various miracles on the road in universal gravity occurred because the spaceship entered the fragments of four-dimensional space. It was this discovery that allowed the blue space to easily ambush the unbeatable water droplets in the three-dimensional world. Similarly, the witch Dialunda from centuries ago is no longer mysterious. Taking a three-dimensional person's brain from four-dimensional space is as easy as drawing a circle on a two-dimensional paper. Here, the three encountered a four-dimensional civilization graveyard resembling the demon realm. After establishing a connection through a simple pixelated image, the demon realm informed them that the four-dimensional space they were in was like a puddle in a drying sea, a graveyard for fish in this water area. Those fish that drained the sea had already come ashore, escaping from one dark forest to another. This cryptic dialogue concealed the dark secrets of the universe's doomsday, and at this moment, Guan Yifan and others were far from comprehending its meaning. After ending the conversation, the three presented a small fish to the graveyard and returned to it. With a trace of doubt about the unresolved dialogue with the demon realm, the two warships exited four-dimensional space and witnessed the demon realm falling from four dimensions to three dimensions like a waterfall, ultimately forming a magnificent scene as a straight line. After this fantastic journey, the members of the two ships began to contemplate their fate. In the end, except for 200 people returning to the solar system in the eastern cabin, the remaining crew piloted the two warships like two seeds of human civilization, spreading deeper into the vastness of the space and stars. At this point, the era of deterrence ended, and the Grim Reaper was about to descend. The warships exited four-dimensional space, witnessing the demon realm falling from four dimensions to three dimensions like a waterfall, ultimately forming a magnificent scene as a straight line. After this fantastic journey, the members of the two ships began to contemplate their fate. In the end, except for 200 people returning to the solar system in the eastern cabin, the remaining crew piloted the two warships like two seeds of human civilization, spreading deeper into the vastness of space and stars. At this point, the era of deterrence ended, and the Grim Reaper was about to descend. Alright, today's second episode of Death God Eternal ends here. I am President Barack Obama. If you enjoyed our story, please like, subscribe, and share our video with your friends. Thank you. We will continue to share a wonderful story with you every day. See you tomorrow.